Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sacred Steel Nation. I'm so excited to be here with a good friend of mine and some good friends of mine, and it is going to be an exciting show today. Let me just tell you, it's going to be on and popping today. So before we get started, let me just say thank you all that have been supporting this platform. Thank you for tuning in every week with the guests that we have on. It's really been exciting, and it's really been an honor to not only give back, but share the minstrels, the musicians, the singers with everybody, and to connect some of us that have been so disconnected in such a long time, not just because of COVID, but just because of distance and just we haven't seen each other in so long. So I'm just grateful to be able to serve in this way. Today, I have the pleasure of having one of the most exciting bands and singers and guitar players that you probably have never met, but will today. After today, you'll know him. Danté Grace and the Amazing Grace Praise Band. I'm so excited to have you all. How y'all doing?
Yeah.
Everybody good?
Good.
Cool. So I don't know where to begin. I guess I'll start with Danté. How you doing? What's going on?
Well, Dante, it's all good in the hood, man. We're having a good day here in Toledo. The joy of the Lord is still my strength, and better days are ahead. And I'm so thankful that you have us on today, my family and my band, because we appreciate everything that you have been doing. We're just big supporters of you, and we just thank God.
Well, I love you guys, man. I love you guys. So I guess we can just go around and kind of do introductions. So we have Danté Grace, and right next to you, Danté, is who?
Jay Caver.
Fingertips.
I don't think he even needs introduction.
Right.
But let everybody know who you are, man.
I'm Jay Caver out of Detroit, Michigan, guitar player of Amazing Grace Praise Band.
Yeah. So many of the musicians I know you, Jay. We go way back. I think it was through Calvin and Derek that I met you.
Right.
Because I had it both ways. So if I didn't see you through Calvin, I saw you through Derek.
Right.
And you've come to Atlanta numerous times, and we had a chance to play together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Appreciated it. Derek Campbell, I sometimes I still think about him. I miss him dearly, but he was the one that really instrumental as far as me coming down to Atlanta to meet you guys and play on Bishop Campbell's platform, which I appreciate to this day. And not, it wasn't for that, it was meeting you, Kashaya, Big B, Little B,
yeah,
Ron, and everybody. And I appreciate you guys for allowing me to come in to Atlanta and to play.
Wow. Yeah, man, we had some great memories and some awesome times together. Man, I don't even know who to go to next. Let's go Angela. Angela Russell. How are you?
Yes, Angela Grace Russell.
Angela Grace Russell. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you.
Good. I can't wait to dive into conversation to hear. You all want to hear a guitar player? Angela Grace Russell.
Right.
Go YouTuber.
I'm humbled.
Phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the stuff that I've really heard from you through the videos that Danté has shared on his YouTube platform. So I'm just so eager to dive into conversation to see where you got all this stuff from. So thank you for being here with us.
Pleasure.
Fran Grace,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Oh, good. One of the baddest steel players I know.
That's too much.
You really are. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to stay safe in this whatever you call it, this virus stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you, and it's so good to have you on, and I'm just excited for everything that we're going to share today.
Yeah.
This is going to be good. Last but not least, I know Chris is on the road, so he's going to be joining us hopefully momentarily. But Tressa Boles.
Hey.
And angelic voices. I probably should have gotten your discography and all the artists that you've been featured with. And
I got one of those?
So, say that again.
What is that? I got one of those.
Girl.
Yes.
You know,
you do.
I ain't good with them letters more than 4. You get a word with more than 4 letters in it. I ain't good with that.
You done sung on some albums.
Oh, okay, them. Yeah, I know them.
You done sung on some albums, and you have credibility. How about that?
Yeah, I got a little bit of that. And I'm single, too, just so people on your platform know.
Put it out there. Put it out there.
Yes, I ain't ashamed. Shoot.
Oh, my goodness. If you've never heard her sing, you all are missing the treat. Like, she is phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Yes, she is.
My cash app, I might do a little something for you.
Oh my God.
We are gonna have so much fun today.
TBOWZ $.
Put it out there again. Put it out there again.
TBOWZ $.
Bless her now, even now.
Oh, a nickel is all it takes.
All right, Tressa.
Man, I'm so excited. I know Chris is driving, and your son Delray is I don't think he's joined us yet, but the bass player. I'm just so excited to have you all on. So Del, how did this all start with you musically? How did it start with the band musically?
The band is one story, and us starting period is another story. You know, we're all born and raised in the Jewel Dominion Church here in Toledo, Ohio. And my grandmother was called out to, we had a second church in the country. It was known as State Line. And that was because it was on the state line of Michigan and Ohio. They called it the State Line Church. And so she began to pastor out there in the late 60s, early 70s sometime. And so my mother and father, they divorced in the late 60s. So my mother went out there with her mother and took all of the kids. And at that time, we weren't playing music in the church. We played music in school. We were in the marching band and things like that. We was playing horns and clarinets and saxophones. I even played the oboe, Dante.
Wow. Talk about it. The oboe?
Judge me, brother.
Bro, I could see that on Sunday morning.
I had a scholarship actually to Kentucky State University playing that thing, man.
Wow.
But anyway, let me get back to this. And so we started playing music probably in the mid-'70s sometime, early to mid-'70s, the string instrument music in the church. I started out as a drummer like most of us do. About 10 years old, I'm beating. At that time, we didn't have a drum set. All we had was a bass drum.
Wow.
And,
Yep.
Tell them about it.
And a hanger.
One side to it.
Don't forget the wire hanger.
We played it with a hanger, man. And a couple years later, we got a full drum set.
Yep.
I was the first one to play the full drum set at that particular church. My mother, we always had music. My mother was a piano player.
Yep.
Piano. And my grandfather, he actually played the Hawaiian guitar, man, but he was just...
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
I don't even think he knew how to tune it. He was just banging on it. But that's kind of how I got started in the church, and the girls, they can give you their background, but we all got started in my grandmother's church, Bishop Ella Mae Dupree, and she passed about 4 or 5 years ago now.
Wow.
And that's how it all started right out there.
Wow.
If I can interject.
Yes, please.
Actually, well, I'll just say for me, my inspiration was, and you had her on a few weeks ago, Kim Love McClendon.
Wow.
I was at a Teen Queen pageant, and I didn't know that females played, the stringed instruments.
Yes.
Until I saw her. And when I saw her, she was playing the steel and the guitar, actually, and it just really inspired me. Now, at that time, I really didn't know that my grandmother had already prayed for musicians.
Okay.
And she prayed for musicians within the house. In other words, her grandchildren. So when I expressed the interest that I wanted to play,
Right.
our dad, who has no type of musical anything, he was our financer.
Mm-hmm.
And so he bought our instruments for us. I started off on the steel.
Wow.
That's where I started, actually. I started on the steel, and I think Dale was on the drums, and I was on the steel.
Okay.
And then Dale went to the steel, I went to the drums, and then Fran went to the drums, and then I picked up the guitar.
Okay.
So honestly, we're pretty versed in all of the instruments.
Wow.
To the point where we've even switched doing services. Wow. Gone from one instrument to the other. But I just want to go back to the beginning with the instruments. My grandmother, she, Bishop Dupree, she only had one arm.
Okay.
She would beat that drum, that big bass drum, with that wire hanger,
with one arm.
And that with one arm, and kept the beat while my mother played the piano. That was just something to see.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when we came up, if I could just give a quick story, because once we started playing, and my mother, she got up from the piano, and she would do what was the praise service at the time.
Right.
This is before we knew about the number system. You have the 1 4, the
right.
5, the 7 3 6, 5 1 4, all
the progressions,
that.
yes.
My mother had her own number system. So when if we weren't playing a song right, okay, you had the first change, you had the second change, and you had the third change, okay? So my mother, if we were playing it wrong, she would just clap right over there to us. She'd throw her finger up, bang sound or something. She'd throw her finger up, and she'd throw this one up again. And we had to, she basically guided us.
Yeah.
In playing our music. And it's another thing she would always tell Dale, when he tried to break out in a tune, she would tell him, play the words,
play the words.
Play the words. And when with me, if I ever tried to do any kind of lead, she would say rap. In other words, I had to strum.
Wow.
And now, to be perfectly honest, that really molded us.
Yeah.
Because it helped me to see that the steel is the main instrument in the Church of the Living God. It's the organ in the Church of the Living God.
Right.
Even though we call it the lead guitar, it's not a lead, it's a support.
Right.
So that's pretty much what I became, a support. I was there to make sure that rhythm was there for whomever was on the steel. So, I never really learned how to do much leading, because I was always, and I was fine with that. I was fine with that as long as I could support whomever was on that steel. That's what I would do. So my mother actually she never played a stringed instrument, but she molded us because she knew how the music was to go.
Right.
She molded us to be where we are today.
This is phenomenal. You said some stuff we can just dive off of just to make conversations, but just that 1 2 3, that is phenomenal. No, seriously, because that's so funny, because I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine out of Florida, Ivis Hicks, and it's universal, first of all, because in church it was really just 3 changes.
Right.
You were on the second change or you were on the third change.
Right.
There were some songs that we would go to the 3 and the 6 and the 2 5 and 1, but for primarily for basic, sake, it was the 1, the 2, and the 3.
And the 3.
You had to know which one to go to and when to go there.
Right.
That's funny. Right. Glenn, we were talking about Glenn. Glenn was a stickler for that. Glenn Lee always did that. And I think with the Lee boys, and I'll be talking to them next week, I believe. Yeah. Hint, hint. Everybody tune in next week. I'll be talking to the Lee boys. So Glenn was so instrumental in doing that with the guys. And I just know, just hearing you talk, Angela, and some of the other musicians that I've talked to, it's so funny how we all speak the same language.
Right.
and how certain things just make sense. It doesn't make sense, but it does.
But right.
So this is so good, and just the way she taught you all how to rap. You said rap and
rap. That's what she called it. Rap and play the words.
Play the words.
Play the words.
Mm-hmm.
We helping somebody today.
We were taught to share too. Like when musicians come in the house in our church, we were taught if they could hold the service to remove ourselves and let the guests play. We were raised like that. Wow. And we didn't have a problem with it because then that gave us time to praise and shout, you know. You know, we weren't just regular musicians. We went to Sunday school. Wow. And we gave God praise.
Wait, say that one more time. Some musician somewhere needed to hear that.
Oh, no, we went to Sunday school. We was in Sunday school. Derry taught, you know, Angie taught, you know. We knew the word, you know, the word was instilled in us. And the music that was nothing. So we know the word. Mm-hmm. Whether you stray or not, like I strayed, but I know the word. Can't get me on the Bible. You know. Wow. But we wasn't regular musicians. Man. We shared. We loved fellow musicians. You know, we love to see Jay come in there. But we shouted all night. See him sing come off the floor.
Jay has that effect.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
But that's amazing. So she taught you all the way to use it, the way to play it, and the spiritual aspect to what you all do, and the humility in what you all do. It's no wonder that y'all amazing. Because to get all of that, that's really an art. That's something different. I mean, my grandmother, who was a pastor, my mother, who was a deacon in the church, and all my uncles and aunts. I was raised. I'm a PK kid. I mean, so it was all music was all around me, preaching and praying was all around me. So that's all I knew. So to get all of it is a blessing. To be able to get the instructional way to do things, but then to be able to get the spiritual part of it. That's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
That's phenomenal. Tressa, you want to dive in a little bit?
She was our drummer.
She was a drummer?
Yeah, bass player.
You got to tell us about this.
And my mother had a tape of me playing the drums, and I was throwing down so hard. They did not believe it was me. And I kept begging. I had a certain thing that I do with the hi-hat. Because remember in church and Jewel, they didn't really play with a hi-hat back in the day. No. I started playing with a hi-hat. And I would do this little thing that nobody else would do on the hi-hat. And that's how I knew it was me. But they made my mom believe that that wasn't me playing them drums because I was throwing down. I was smoking Dante. Killing them. I was killing them.
So you create new trends.
Right. They wouldn't let me be great.
Shout out to Nikki Nicole Brown. She's watching. She said she got it from y'all.
Oh, bless her. Hey,
Dante, she said she got it from y'all.
On here, man.
Yo, we gonna have her.
Okay, yeah.
We definitely gonna have her. I'm gonna have her and all the sisters. They are phenomenal.
Yeah, yes, they are.
This is exciting. Chris, it's so good to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you too, man.
How you doing?
Man, I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Life is great. Yeah, yes, sir.
I see why you're so talented, man. You have all these talented family members around you, man. I think it was just like you didn't have a choice.
Right.
I did have a choice. Actually, though, my uncle was hard on me. He let me make a lot of noise in his basement growing up. So I got a lot of put in practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then becoming who I am today as a musician.
Wow. And Chris, you know, it's funny because we have connections and we didn't even know we had a connection. You want to tell them about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So actually one of the guys that I looked up to here in Toledo, Louis Kyle Newsom, him and Dante play together all the time now that he moved to Atlanta. And so I see him playing with Dante all the time. So whenever I see him or I'm in Atlanta and I run into Kyle, I always ask about how Dante is doing. And then actually few years ago, Dante sent me some music, and I recorded some drums for him too on a couple tracks.
Yeah. So yeah, I listen. Chris is a favorite of mine, and Dale, if he wasn't playing for you, if he wasn't with y'all,
watch it, Dante. Watch it.
Chris will be with me. No, this is you guys are so talented, and I see like just through your humble beginnings, like where all this stuff began with you all. And Dale, you were telling us about a little church history before we came on live. That was really instrumental into you guys, you know, doing what you're doing. How did this start with you all as far as with church?
Well, yeah,
church.
Once my grandmother started pastoring, you know, and we all started growing up at the State Line Church of the Living God. That's kind of where we cut our teeth at. Like Angie said, she started, you know, with the Hawaiian guitar. Angie's the best of all of us, man. If I might say, she's always had the better ear. She could always things that I thought I was mimicking somebody on the Hawaiian guitar. She said, "No, that ain't right," and she'll show me how to play it. You know.
Yep.
You know, when she played the Hawaiian, she was never really smooth. You know, she kind of
choppy.
Yeah, it's kind of choppy. But I mean, she had a fundamental understanding of how this thing went on. And I just want to change gears and tell you this, Dante, because we didn't just start playing without being inspired by anybody. You know, there's a lot of great Jewel Dominion musicians during the time that I come up, because I'm older than all of them. And Lord, I'll be 60 years old in September.
Come on, man.
I know what you're thinking, boy. You don't look that
old. Man. Y'all see this dude?
So yes, sir. So I was born in.
Y'all drink the juice. Drink the juice.
but Dante, I just want to call some names. You know, Felton Williams from Detroit. He happens to be Jay's uncle, and he was one of the superstars up here. You know, Felton. A lot of people think that Bishop Harrison was like the only steel player. He was by far the greatest of them. Now, let's get that straight. Yeah. But Fred Neal was the very first Hawaiian player that started playing with Chief Jewel in the year 1939.
Okay.
And I think he played to 1952, something like that, with Chief Jewel. And he happens to be the great-grandfather of Jairus Mosey and the grandfather of Keziah Daniels and Ronnie and the father of Lemuel Neal, and they're all still alive and well in Long Beach, on the west coast out there. Wow. You know, just a little bit of history of some of these great musicians, and their bloodline is still in the earth and still active in this church. You know, a lot of people don't know this about Felton, but Felton, he had his own record company. You know, Felton, and this was back in 1967. You know, he had own record label. He built guitars. He built steel guitars. I have two in my basement that he built. You know, back then, and they were affordable for the people in the church. You know, it was 8-string models and 10-string models. And also, he has a piece in the Smithsonian right now, along with Robert Randolph and the Campbells and things. You know, the first double neck steel guitar that Felton Williams built is in the Smithsonian. Wow. And I might as well add this in there too, because I have something in the Smithsonian too.
Come on, talk about
it. See, and this is what happened. You know, they were going to do a display of Felton. I don't know if they ever got it finished, but they were going to do like a human bust, an upper part of his body, and like the hands were going back and forth on the guitar. And so they didn't have it finished when the Smithsonian, this museum, opened. But they also wanted they needed an audio track, and so his wife, Ida Williams, she had some cassettes with him playing on it. But they weren't satisfied with that. They wanted a video so they could actually see that it was him themselves. And Felton played for me. Last time Felton played was in 2009 at our very first Sacred Strings Showcase concert. and they licensed that audio from me for a couple $100. I couldn't let them go for free.
You're a businessman.
I'm a businessman too. See, and it was a company called Cortina Productions, I think it is, and they did all the displays for the Smithsonian. And so I took a picture of the check because I knew wasn't nobody gonna believe me. I still got a picture. I spend the money. I got a picture of the check. Right. It's gonna be in the museum. So
right. That's cool.
It's just that, Dante, a lot of great men have walked this way.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what we're doing with Sacred Strings Records. We're trying to document these things so people would know that people like Wayne White, Tubby Golden, what's the guy out of Florida? Sonny Treadway.
Yeah.
And it goes on and on. It's so many of these guys, Yo-Yo Ramsey, up this way, you know, that have been a part of the Jewel Dominion. There's been so many of these, and this is the thing that motivated me. When Bishop Harrison and these guys started to die, I'm like, man, there's no documentation of their history. Right. And nobody have taken the time to record these guys on anything like that. So, you know, I prayed about it, and the Lord gave me a vision to start doing what we're doing right now. And that's to try to make sure these guys get their recognition for the hard work that they have put in. You know, and you're like us. You probably started from a kid, and you know the hard work that goes into this.
Yes.
You know, and it ain't no money in it. I mean, a thank you would be nice every now and then. But, you know, the fact that these guys did exist, I would like the world to know that they did exist. And we ought to be thankful for that.
Well, Delray, I think I probably could speak for every musician that's watching, and the ones that are watching or coming on, and the ones that are probably going to watch after we finish with this live, that if it was not for you and your platform and even creating Sacred String Records, creating the platform for us to even have a Hall of Fame. Right. I was inducted class of 2018. Yeah. 2018 Hall of Fame. Listen, man, let me tell you what's funny. Joey Somerville, who was there,
my man.
I didn't tell him I was being inducted. Because we had played the night before, and I said, Joey, and I told him a week prior, but I invited him there. I didn't tell him I was being rewarded. Okay. So or being inducted into the Hall of Fame. But I told Joey, I said, man, come play this song with me. This will fit. You know, it'll be a perfect fit for what I'm trying to do. He said, send me the track. I said, I'll see you the track, and we're going to make it happen. But I did not tell Joey. Joey came to me afterward. He was like, man, so now I can introduce you as the 2018 Sacred. Listen, everywhere we go. Last night we just did a virtual. We had to do like for a foundation. It was a virtual concert. So we were at a studio, and the screen behind us was kind of like different effects or whatever. But we were being video and audio recorded, and it was going everywhere. But that's how he introduces me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the 2018 Sacred Steel Hall of Famer. Wow. And that's because of you, man. Wow. And I'm speaking for all musicians. That means so much to us when even in church, and I'm not speaking ill against the church, but even in church sometimes we didn't get a thank you. I'm just being real. You know, and sometimes we would be overlooked, you know, to have a brother in Christ and start your own business, and you come back and look at us and take us and put us in this awesome award that you created for all of us. I'm honored.
Yeah.
I'm honored. And I think I speak on behalf of all musicians everywhere who are listening to this and who will probably listen to this after it's recorded. We thank you, man. We thank you all, because without this platform, we probably wouldn't be where we are, and the music would not have been preserved. So you wonder why Dale is speaking so much history. He literally took time out, and as you heard him say, you know, God showed him this and put it in his heart to do, to preserve the music and talk about it and keep track of the history. And we're in the Smithsonian, all that display. You see us, we're represented. So we thank you.
You're so welcome, brother. And I just want to give a shout out to the women. Last year we did a Sacred Steel concert, and we just honored the women and inducted a few of them into the Hall of Fame. Also, we don't want to forget about the women, who have always been a strong support.
Amen.
In this music ministry. So, and let me say this before I forget it. I want to give Dale Hines a shout out, man, because Dale Hines, I hope you're listening, Doc, because he was with me for the first 9 years. This is the 12th year, and we're not going to do anything this year because of the Corona thing. We may do something virtual. We're still talking about that. But Dale Hines, he hung with me for the first 9 years as the master of ceremony for Sacred Strings Records. And he did an awesome job for me, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Give it up to Dale Hines, man. Right. He brought a lot of history to the table that we did not know about the Keith Dominion. And see, if it had not been for Jay traveling with Calvin Cook, Jay was my introduction to the Keith Dominion Church. Yes. And he opened the door so I could stick my head in. When I stuck my head, and I couldn't believe how many musicians y'all had, man. I'm talking about getting down. I'm talking about working it out, boy.
Yeah.
Fat Man and all them cats, And so, young ones, Lonnie Bennett, I met so many people through this journey.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. I don't have time to call all their names, and that so many of them have been on our platform, gave me an opportunity to record them. And also to document them in the history of this great music tradition. Yeah. I say this often, when God was looking for some place in the earth to lay Sacred Steel down, he could have put it in Africa, Australia, he could have put it on Jupiter if he wanted to, but he saw Mother Tate's church, and he put it there because he knew he could trust us with this music.
That's right. You're preaching, Doc.
Yeah, so God gave it. It's something special that he gave to us and didn't give to anybody else. And you can tell it's special because the only way you can really learn it is what they call oral tradition. Fathers teach their sons, older musicians teach the younger musicians, and they pass it on. They develop an ear for it and a heart for it, and they pass it to the next generation without ever having to write it down.
Right.
And so even after 80 years of this, none of this music is written down. There was a country western guy. He asked me, he said, man, I went to the music store. I can't find still music manuscript. And he said, why don't y'all write your music down? I said, it is written down. It has to be written down in the hearts of those that are destined to carry on. Right. It's written down there. Now you can hear me, Jay.
Jay, go ahead and put him in A flat. I think he in A flat.
Hey, just piggyback off of that.
We gonna start dancing before this thing over with.
Yes.
The piggyback
is older father. Dante.
Yes.
Something I want to sort of piggyback off of something my brother said. He said about teaching the next generation.
Yeah.
And just something that when his son and Fran's son Chris, when they were coming up, especially Bubba, because my mother would have him in her kitchen just beating on pots and pans. Chris the same way, actually. Yeah. Chris the same way. But then Bubba was what, 3 years old? Maybe 2 years old. She decided to give him a piece of the drum.
Wow.
And she would have him sit next to the actual drummer, which was usually Dale or my other nephew.
No, it was me.
Oh, yeah, Tressa. Right, I'm sorry, Tressa.
That's right, because she had the hi-hat trick. Come on. I got you, Tressa.
And it would be so irritating. I'm just going to be honest. It was irritating. But to be perfectly honest, it was needed, because how else was he going to learn?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you know Bubba as the bass player. Mm-hmm. You ought to hear him on the drums.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. He's awesome. You think Chris is awesome.
Wow.
Bubba is awesome on the drums. But that's how my mother, I guess we had to think about it this way, because we would be in her basement making all kinds of noise.
Yeah, we were irritating too.
We were very irritating. Making all kinds of noise, so and that's how it is. You have to pass it down to the next generation.
Right.
So that the tradition, so they don't die out.
So don't die. Right.
This is awesome. So Tressa, I want to bring you in here because, it's hard to talk about sacred steel music and talk about the steel guitar and not talk about where we get our voicings from.
Okay.
And
there you go.
Voicing comes from a actual voice. We emulate the voice of a singer. And, all I'm gonna say is when I first heard you sing, like I was just like, I was at awe. I didn't want to play. I just sing another stanza. Keep going.
Keep going.
So tell me, listen, how did you hone that voice of yours? Where did you start? How did that get going? How did you get that going?
Well, actually, it all started in church and at home, because
he was born with it.
Truth of the matter is, Delray used to hate it.
Wow.
And they're talking about, let the kids do this, pass it down. His son used to drive me crazy, sitting next to me on the drum, beating that snare like he was going to lose. Oh, my God. And I drove Del crazy singing. He would tell me, "Would you shut up? Sound like you got an amplifier in your throat." So even working these gifts out, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you had to take a lot of abuse because I'm the youngest. So I had to take a lot of abuse from the older ones telling me to shut up. They didn't realize the greatness that I had in me.
See, come on, testify.
So it almost didn't come to fruition because Delray used to hate it. It used to drive him crazy. But then as we started to, the Lord started dealing with us and anointing us, and we start getting better, and honing our gifts in, and it started sounding good. Now all of a sudden he can't stop me. He's always asking me and begging me, "Come on, Tressa, sing. So I always bring up that fact. Remember when he used to tell me to shut up? I'm shutting up. And then I tell him he need to pay me, and then I do a little bit of work for him. So, it's just, you know how it is.
I get it.
But no, we all started as kids together. We grew up together in the same house, and we were always singing and playing and craziness, and just got better and better and better at it, and then anointed,
Yeah.
Her father sang.
Her father sang. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
My daddy was quartet singer, good old quartet singer.
I love me some quartet music.
Me too. Yeah. So that it's all come full circle now that we're older, and our children, their children, and even their grandchildren are picking up stuff and they're passing it on. But yeah, I was the only one that really got the singing part of it. But I didn't get as much as gifting with the instruments either. So I'm not that great. I can play a little bit of everything, but nothing.
Dante, you didn't know we were quartet players too, did you?
You know what? I can hear it in the sound. I didn't know that, but I can hear it in the sound. I can. And I love quartet music.
Oh yeah, Dale actually got us started in the quartet. There in Toledo, there's a quartet union, and he would play the bass for different groups. And there was this female group there called the Queens of Harmony, and they asked me to play with them, so I played for a little while with them. And Chris, we played for different quartet groups. I mean, they would actually request us. If they didn't have musicians, they would request us. Can you play? And so that says that we had to be versatile,
right?
Not just stuck in one style or of music of playing. You had to be versatile,
right?
And I can say, because growing up, there's always been music in our house, always. One thing I can say, and my mother allowed us to be eclectic of sort, with music.
Right.
Granted, she taught us how to appreciate it, put it that way.
Right.
It's not that we were going through the house playing R&B and, all this other stuff. No, we respected the house, but we listened to different types of music, to gain an appreciation of it because we were musicians.
Yeah.
And so, but the quartet, I love playing quartet. I love it. And that's
we had a singing group too. We
sang, right? We sang together.
And our mom had a singing group. They sung together. My mom and my aunt and my dad, they all sung together too. Mm-hmm. So singing has been a part of us too, as well.
Wow.
Tressa.
Yep.
Tell them the rest of the story. I paid for your voice lessons.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
What's up, family?
Hey,
what's up, buddy?
Well, I'm sorry, I was napping.
That's all right.
It's good to see you, man. It's good to have you on.
Man, good to see you too, Dante, man. Oh, yes, I'll be checking you out, man.
Man, we're gonna circle back around. You gotta tell us a story, Tressa.
Okay, so
sorry for the interruption. I'm sorry.
What you say, Bubba?
I said I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. You good. I'll whoop you later. Anyway.
All right.
So back to me growing up singing and everything. I was always afraid to sing. I was a big chicken. I'm still a big chicken now. I'm a scared cat. So I don't even know how we got into doing this, but we went to this music school, the Ursuline Schofield School of Music. So I told Dale, I said, Dale, if you go with me to the school, and I'll take these lessons, I'll do it. But I was terrified. So Dale, he went with me, he's paying for him and everything. And so I didn't want to do it. So the music teacher said, well, to Dale, she said, well, maybe if you come in here and do it with her, you'll encourage her. Anyways, I'm trying not to. What's up? Dale Ray came in this room with me. So, they're teaching us classical music, just, theory and those things and so Dale started singing. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And I laughed. Her name was Sister Paulita. It was so funny. I'm going to sing the song that she gave me to sing. I'm going to show you how you did it. You're supposed to put your hands like this and stand straight up. The song is, when I were too old to sing, I'll have you to remember. Here's Derek. When I was too old to sing, I'll have you to remember. I was like, that's okay. I got it from here. And I went to Live here, Uzinga, Libanatiga. I was like, I'm good from now on.
Wow.
But he supported me. He went in there and he supported me. But it was so funny. He was horrible. Yeah. Anyway.
But he made his debut. He made his debut last year, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He sung with me. He sang with me
last year. Yeah.
Got the house.
He was still hard.
Hey, I want to say thank you. Can I say this? Thank you, Dante, for everything. I have to go in service. I have to go sing, do praise and worship and service. But I do thank you for this platform. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you, and much more success to you.
I love you too. Thank you for even coming on and just doing this.
Absolutely. Bye everybody. I love y'all.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Wow. That is an interesting story, Dale.
I think Jay got something to say, man.
Come on, Jay.
Hey, first of all, Dante, I appreciate this, platform.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'm really I don't play the steel.
Right.
So I've always learned, as far as what Angie was saying, as far as the guitar of the rap. Unlike them, I didn't start playing guitar until I was about 18.
Wow.
My uncle, which is 4 years younger than me,
mm-hmm.
Kirkwood, when he was younger, he was playing it, and he was like, Jay, you need to learn this, and I'm like, you into the girls and into whatever else, and he really how can I say, he really put me in the mind of playing a guitar. And from that point on, the young lady that just left, Angela Grace Russell, taught me my first chord.
Wow.
When I first started playing, she taught me my first chord. And I like to give definitely a shout out to those two. But the major one that I really, as you say, is the inspiration to me was Bishop Henry Wayne White.
Yeah.
Okay.
he took, when I say he took time out with me, he sat, as you know, he sat on the front bench and, 1, 2, 3 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Certain songs, the old school songs, to where he allowed me to, how can I say it? He taught me how the changes and how to, really play the songs.
Right.
And then, like I say, with my uncle Felton Williams, he gave it to me from the spiritual side of it, to where he said, even though we play music and we learn, you have to have a relationship with God.
Wow.
And I guess that resonated with me more as I got older, because going to different churches or playing things, it was always great to play tunes and play whatever. But he was the one that type that really put me on the spiritual side, saying, before you play the music, learn spiritually why you playing the music. What are you playing it for?
Wow.
And the reason I say that, he was one of the top musicians with Bishop White and them back in the day, to where he felt that he was entertaining instead of playing for God. He took off 7 years.
Wow.
7 years of playing. He, because he felt I can play this particular tune to make this young lady jump. I can play this particular tune to have this person shout. And he had to realize for himself, I'm not playing for God.
Right.
So like I say, he took off 7 years and said, Lord, consecrate my mind to let me know that I'm playing for you. I'm not playing for sister such and such and brother such and such. Right. And he's always instilled that into me. So when I started with Bishop White, he really taught me the mechanics of what's going on.
Right.
And the Lord blessed me enough that everybody on here can say that the older musicians played a part of my life.
Right.
Ted Beard, Calvin Cook, Darrell White from Mount Clemens, Ned Mays, his brother Mac Mays.
Wow.
Clifford Warren, Bishop Clifford Warren.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these guitar players always taught me stuff. They always said it wasn't always about the tunes. Right. Or it wasn't always about the chord. It was about how to be humble.
All right, Jay.
Taught me how to, it's not, everything is not, everybody's going to tell you you're the best, or you're better than this person, or you're better than that person. But they always taught me you got to be humble, because if you're being humble, what's going on, God is going to give you the increase.
Right.
A lot of, and no disrespect, a lot of musicians, sometimes they don't understand that. It's like, it's not you. You know what I'm saying? God gives you the gift of doing what you do. And the reason I say that, because if you don't really understand what God has done and will do from you, they'll take it away from you. And I say that because in 2003, I was playing, all over. I traveled with Robert Randolph, with Calvin Cook, and I did everything. But at the same token, God was trying to tell me, be humble about what's going on. Make sure that you're playing for God.
Right.
Not saying we wasn't, but I'm saying make sure you're in tune with God.
Right.
And in 2003, I had a stroke.
Wow.
In October, I had a stroke, and my whole right side, I couldn't move. I couldn't move. I was like 310 pounds.
Wow. And
I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. So the first thing I thought to myself, okay, I had my functions was going on outside of my right side. But one thing that I really realized and understood, my grandmother, the Tavita Kirkwood, who I miss dearly, she told me that a lot of things that you do, God's giving you that gift. And if you don't sit down and recognize God first, God will take it away from you. And me, oh, grandma, I understand. Right. At that time when that stroke happened, I felt in my mind was God saying, I let you do what you wanted to do. I let you go where you want to go. You played, you did whatever. But now I'll put you on your back to where only thing you can do is pray to me and listen to me. And so I guess I really, it was the humbling time for me to where I said, well, you know what, God, if you want me to play music for you, I would play music for you wherever you want me to play it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about a money thing. It wasn't about trying to be on top. It was to the point that my grandmother really taught me of saying you have to have a personal spiritual relationship with God to play music. Now, I say that to say this: the music that we play, it's a spiritual realm to it. Just like Del Rey always tells us all the time, when you play in the world. My grandfather taught a lesson when I was younger. He taught a sermon. He taught a lesson, and the topic of his lesson was the music that murders, and what that entailed to, back in the day of how when we was younger, we always used to listen to the radio when we went to sleep. Okay. And the bad part about it, with us listening to the radio, sometimes everything outside of the spiritual realm was in our mind. So if we sleep, 90% of the time we was grasping it. Right. So my thing about it was, on the spiritual side, it's like if I'm connecting one-on-one with God, and God is hearing what I hear, right, or God is listening to what I'm playing, he will give me the spiritual aspects of it. Or I would try to, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but what I'm saying is a lot of things that I've done or a lot of things I do, I try to consult God first about it, as far as the playing, as far as your living, as far as things that you're doing, in general, and I think too, it made me humble myself enough to say, you know what? Okay, God, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. My grandmother, she took the blessed oil out. She prayed for me. Right. Prayed for me. She, anointed my head. And so she, and not a bodybuilder, but she used to have a Campbell soup can in my hand to try to help me to, get my strength. Right. While she did that, she prayed. She prayed. Right. I know he messed up. I know what he did, but heal him enough to where he'll play for you. Wow. And that was, how can I say it? I think that was really a turning point in my life to say, okay, Jay, all right, now let me start, let me start playing for you. And from that point on, like I say, what Bishop White taught me back then, then I started meeting bishops and elders. I met, of course, Calvin Cook. Right. Calvin Cook was a instrumental part of me from 93 on. Right. And like I say, not to take up time, but tell a little story about Calvin. Calvin, we've been knowing Calvin for years, but every time he came to the Jewel Dominion, only thing he did was sing.
Okay. You didn't know he played?
Yeah. Wow. No, I didn't know. So I figured, okay, well, he did it. So I never forget, in like 93, he asked me to come over to Mount Elliott Church and play their, what they call a state assembly. Okay. And he asked me to come over and play with him. So I said, okay, no problem. So I'm thinking he come singing. So I come into church and I see him playing. And I said, oh, okay, he sounded kind of good. I said, oh, he sounded kind of good, Right. And what I did or didn't realize at that time, Sean Spearman was the first person that I met. And he came to me and I played with Calvin. And he said, you must be kind of good to play with Calvin Cook. And the first thing I said was, well, is he somebody? Is he some? I didn't know, who Calvin. He said, is he somebody? He's the chief musician over here. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it's like Calvin, I call him my pops. He took me under his wing and we went to, Atlanta, Florida, all over. And he allowed me to play with him. And not only that, he really taught me a lot of discipline as far as service-wise, of how to read a service. Right. Not always about jamming. Right. Always reading the service. Sometimes they used to say that saying, break it down and get some more. It's like, you got a whole time to do things, And it was like a lot of those guys, like I said, Ted Beard really taught me as far as how to be precise about what you play.
Yeah.
So it's like if you play certain song, make sure you hit that song. Don't slide into it.
Right.
Sure
you hit it precisely.
Precise. Yeah, you got when you hit it, when you play the song, you might as well go ahead and you'll know what you're playing.
Yeah.
You know.